Howdy, Connection Group leaders. Happy Thursday. I hope you're doing well. I'm in here in one of the kids' storage areas, and specifically, I wanted you to see all this stuff. Do you remember when your kids were born, or actually right before your kids were born, when you went shopping, maybe at Babies R Us or Walmart or wherever, and you were looking at the strollers and the car seats and the onesies and all the stuff that you know you need to raise a kid, and then all the stuff that they tell you that you have to buy in order to raise a kid successfully? If you were like me in that moment, you may very well have had the thought, God, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can afford all of this. But number two, Lord, I just don't know if I've got the stuff to raise this kid well, much less in the way that you want me to raise a kid. Or maybe, just maybe, you grandparents, now that you become a grandparent, you're excited about those grandbabies and you love them maybe even more than you loved your own kids. That's how my parents feel about me. They love my children way more than they like me. I don't blame them. I like my kids more than like me too. But you might be thinking as a grandparent, God, and I don't know if I'm ready to help raise a grandkid. I don't know if I'm ready to help my kids raise a kid. I don't know if my kids are ready to raise a kid. If you've had those thoughts, this lesson is for you. And our people need to hear this. Here's the overwhelming message. It's really simple. You ready? It's this. You can do it. You can do it. I promise you can do it. And the way that you can know you can do it is because God himself, the sovereign Lord of the universe, picked you and chose you and gave you those babies today for this time to accomplish his purposes. Esther is a beautiful and amazing and unique story. But that purpose of that story is to remind us that what he did in Esther's life is not unique. He wants to do that, all of that in our lives too. So here's what I would tack it. Number one, read the whole book of Esther. Probably take you 20, 25 minutes. It's 10 chapters long. It's not long though, and it's so encouraging, and it will help admonish you and really encourage your soul as you get ready to pass on this information in your class. Number two, just go Google Esther song, YouTube videos, YouTube VeggieTales Esther song. That's back when VeggieTales was still really good. I think you'll just find that really, really encouraging, fun. Might be something you want to share with your class. Start with kids, because kids need to hear this message. And actually, Connection Group leaders of parents, tell your parents, kids need to hear this message, not just from their Connection Group leaders, although they're going to. They don't need to hear this just from children's pastors and youth pastors. They need to hear this very thing from their parents, and they need to hear it often. Here's the message. Everything about your life, God designed for a reason, including, and this is a big one, don't skip this. This is not insignificant, including the way that your body was shaped. Think about how Esther played out. This is kind of gross to think about, but it's true. God shaped Esther in such a way that she would be appealing to a pagan king, so that he would want to marry her, and he did, so that she would be in a position to accomplish his purposes. Now, that's not just a message for us pretty people, right? This is true of all of us. My kids and I had a conversation this week about Ehud. The big thing about Ehud, the prophet, was the fact that he was left-handed. God made him left-handed so that he could kill a pagan king and hide a sword. My kids thought that was kind of funny, and it is kind of funny. But the lefty in my house, I was able to remind her, you know what? God made you left-handed for a reason. And he did. Everything about our bodies, our eye color, our shape, our size, our height, our width, the things that we have a lot of and the things that we don't have a lot of, even in some cases, like just missing stuff entirely. God is the one who designed you, and he did it for a reason. And it's because he wants to accomplish good through you, and he's going to. Kids have got to hear that from their parents, and frequently. So relay that message to your parents and to your grandparents as well. That's so good for them to hear. But then for your parents and your grandparents, you need to hear that God gave you your babies for this time for a reason. Back up and think about this story. Mordecai became a parent. We don't know if he had other biological children, but he became a parent of Esther as a result of adoption. And it wasn't hey, me and my wife can't have babies, and so let's go pick one. It was a sibling, or both of my siblings died, and I have inherited their daughter as a result of this. Some of you have children in your lives because you chose to adopt. Some of you have children in your lives that you adopted, but it was the result of not so great circumstances. And then some of you have children that were born biologically, but you weren't necessarily planning on that. All of us, again, you've had those feelings of, I don't know if I can do this or not, but you can. See, Mordecai had this ridiculous job. He worked for a pagan king, and he lived in a society where his particular group of people weren't particularly favored because they were slaves. But Mordecai got his job because the pagan king liked to put a few of the slaves in prominent positions in order to give hope to the other slaves and also to quell down ridiculousness amongst the other people. See, if a few slaves were in power, then there was just a calmness. Well, maybe not everything's so bad. And Haman makes the statement to the king, hey, king, there's this people in the land. They're not like the rest of us. They have their own set of rules and their own set of standards, and they just don't fit in with the rest of us. This is the people of God. That was true then. This is us now. In fact, sometimes our government views us in the exact same way. You just don't fit in like the rest of us. You don't follow the same set of standards and rules that the rest of us are applying to. And this was that time when Mordecai was raising a young lady. Is it troublesome? Yeah. Is it troublesome today? Yeah. It's nuts. But God gave Mordecai a kid in that day, in that time, and he's done the same thing with us. Your kids and everything about them, you got to know this. Everything about them, whether they're special needs or super successful or anywhere in between, God gave you your kids with all their stuff to you for a reason, because you have the stuff that kid needs. Mordecai was in a position where he could help Esther later on in life. Mordecai had the wisdom that Esther would need in order to accomplish his purpose. Now, God has given you the wisdom and the skill set and the resources that you need to train your children in the way that they're supposed to go, to accomplish God's purposes. You can do this. We've got to believe that. We've got to convey that to our people with all our hearts and our souls and mind. We've got to believe that ourselves. I've got to believe this as I'm raising my children. We can do this. So man, lay it on them thick. Declare the word of God over their lives. The sovereign King of the universe placed us here in 2023 for such a time of this, for his good and for his glory. So embrace that and rejoice. Guys, I love y'all. I can't wait to hang out with you on Sunday. We'll talk to you later.